we've got it up. And the sound's working as well? Perfect. Boo. Testing. 1, 2. Rach, let us know when you've sent the link. And hello. Sweet. Okay, welcome to 5 p.m. church, or 10 past 5 p.m. 5:10 church. Okay, Rach has now sent the link, so I hope we are getting some people joining. But welcome to the second panel. Tonight we're going to be discussing about sort of coming back to church, hopefully soon, considering now the lockdown's ending tomorrow, which is really exciting. Looking forward to seeing some friends, going out, and then of course coming back to church. And we're just going to sort of talk through the logistics of that, of course, and also sort of what it means for us as Christians, and maybe reflect on how the lockdown has gone, and maybe some questions about that. So we're going to have a couple of panelists. We're going to have Andrew, we're going to have Pete Williams, we're going to have Rachel, and we're going to have Kath. So looking forward to that. But what we're going to do now is we're going to start off doing some worship. So yeah, I just sort of sit back, relax, get into that zone, maybe get a cup of tea if you haven't already, and then we'll get started shortly.
Who am I that the highest King would welcome me? I was lost, but He brought me in. Oh, His love for me. Oh, His love for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Free at last, He has ransomed me. His grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, He died for me. Who the Son sets free, who is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. pressing, you are making new wine. In the soil I now surrender, you are breaking new ground. So I'll yield to you, to your careful hand. When I trust in you, I don't need to understand. Make me a vessel, make me an offering, make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. In the crushing, in the pressing, you are making new wine. In the soil I now surrender, you are breaking new ground. So I'll yield to you until your careful hand. When I trust you, I don't need to understand. Make me a vessel, yes, make me an offering, make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of 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 me. 'Cause where there is new wine, there is new power, there is new freedom. The kingdom is here. I lay down my old flames to carry your new fire today. So make me a vessel, make me an offering, make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing but all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Caught up in your presence, I just want to sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never want to leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I sang another song. Take me back to where it started. I open up my heart to you. I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're enough. Take me back to where it started. I open up my heart to you. I'm caught up in your presence. I just want to sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never want to leave. Nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else, and nothing else, Jesus, nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else, nothing else, Jesus, nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else, Jesus, nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else, and nothing else, Jesus, nothing else will do. Caught up in your presence. I just want to sit here at your feet. Caught up in this holy moment. I never want to leave.
That was nice.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I mean, maybe it's different because you guys are still at home. But I know for me, just doing that got me really keen to come back to church and get back in it. And it's really different, sort of, doing church at home. I think it has its benefits, but I think it's definitely you can get a different energy here when you're actually physically at a place of church, and that's why we have churches, because I think when we come together in community, not through a screen, there's definitely, I mean, God works through everything, through a screen, through anything, but I think there's a sense of community and something that we don't quite get at home. But that's what we're going to talk about tonight, and sort of what it's going to look like in the future. So I'm going to introduce the panel. I'm currently sitting in one of the chairs and using the wrong mic, but I'll change over mics. But I'll introduce Andrew, Pete, Rach, and Kath, so if they can join me on stage.
full disclosure, Kath and I live together, so we are sitting next to each other because, do you want to use the stool? And this one. So are we both sitting? Do we need to move over? Okay, Kath will move.
And I'm going to be behind everyone, awkwardly, asking questions. But we ran out of mics. So I think we're going to open up the questions to everyone at home. So I think Rachel posted my number, if you haven't already saved it. Actually, last time I made the joke that people messaged me and I got some texts from different people throughout the week, which was awesome. It made me very happy. So we're going to get started. Let me just quickly get my questions up. And then, of course, you can text whenever. I've got my phone, so I'll see the questions. Let's go. Just one moment. Okay, so actually, here's a question from me. When are we actually coming back to church? Andrew, maybe you might answer this one. I might actually just hand over to Andrew to just throw out some of the logistics of everything, because just so we're all clear on what the law says and what's going on there.
Thanks, Nick. Yes, everyone, we are going back on Sunday, the 31st of October, and that's for everyone. So if you are vaccinated or if you are not vaccinated, it does not matter. All of you can come back, okay? We do have to wear masks until December the 5th or whatever it is, and then we can all just be normal. We won't be singing in the congregation until, again, the 5th of December, but we can have people singing out the front, which is something, right, isn't it? What else? We can talk to one another afterwards. I think we have to be seated, but I'll check that out. So it's a bit more relaxed than last time. And I think that's about it, Nick, unless there's something else I've missed. If you want to have your small group, you can do that from tomorrow. And you can have up to 10 people in your house. That's changed just in the last few days. However, you do have to be vaccinated to be able to do that. That's the current guidelines.
What's this, double vaccinated?
You do have to be double vaccinated if you want to have a group at your house. I think that will change in December, but between now and then, up to 10 people, yeah. And then at 80%, that will then change to 20 people in your house, which may only be a couple of weeks away. But that's not too much stuff to think about.
Awesome. Well, that's all very exciting. I know I'm keen to get back to church. So we'll start maybe a bit positive. Not that the whole night isn't going to be positive, because we're in a church. It's awesome. But just over the past 3 months of lockdown, how has it been with God, for each of you personally? If there are any Bible verses or passages or promises that of God that has kept you going through this difficult time, if you wanted to share something, an encouragement just to get us started.
Yes. Woo. Now I can hear me too. Yay. Pete and I were talking about this before. And I think nothing really specific, but I've really enjoyed, I think we mentioned last time, it was journaling, and just having a little bit of extra time to do that was actually very nice. And just any time someone kind of organized a quick Bible study amongst friends or something like that, or a chat about theological discussions. Rachel does that quite often as well. But I think just knowing that God is faithful, and that even if we don't know what's going on, He does, and as long as someone knows the plan, that's okay. Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest one for me.
Do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. I suppose I've been very fortunate that I live in a Christian household, and my son has been staying with us during this period of time, who's a Christian, and so it's sort of, church has sort of become family as well. We've sort of shared with each other our Christian walk, and I think the other thing that's been really, very reassuring is the idea that we've been through this before. God looked after us during the lockdown last time, and so therefore we could have the confidence that God will look after us again this time. So there are a couple of things that have got me through this period of time.
I think during this lockdown, I think it's made me a little bit bolder when it comes to sharing God with other people. I've found I've just felt like we were in a safer space with smaller amount of people, like with my coworkers, to talk to them about God, or encouraging our housemate, who's not a Christian, to listen to us while we have a worship night at home, and being willing to just be in the same room with us when we do church online and stuff like that. She has her headphones in and stuff like that, but not being withdrawn or holding back the fact that we are really relying on God during this time. I think for me during this time too is, if I'm ever struggling or if I'm ever going well, I always look back into Psalms, because I think that shows you the whole tidal wave of life, all the ups and downs. It takes you kind of through everything. So if you need encouragement in any way, that's the most real that you can get, I think, at least for me. Yeah.
Yeah, for me too, it's been Psalms, but I'm a slow, reflective Bible reader, so I think I'm up to Psalm 40, which is, I think the days we've been in lockdown is way more than that. So that's been great, and probably like what Kath said too, and what Pete said, having church at home with my family, even watching telly, it's been really good. Really enjoyed it. Space to reflect with God. The things we usually do, maybe we haven't done them all, so there's a bit more time. That's been great. Having said that, probably, I don't know about these guys, I'm a bit blunt, so I need to be sharpened by you guys when we go back to church.
Okay, so I think we might be having a couple of technical difficulties. We've got a couple of messages through saying that they can't hear people or it's very soft. And I think Andre's just quietly working on that in the background. But I hope you got some of that. It's definitely something that I'm looking forward to, coming back to church, not having to deal with all the technology stuff. Sorry? Andre.
Is there a certain mic that works? Are there certain mics that work? Does this one work?
I know. I'm just going to keep on talking to the mic to see if anything changes. Anything?
This is fun.
Technology.
Nick can do interpretive dance.
Instruments?
Okay, Kat, get up there. It's gonna be on YouTube forever.
Oh my gosh. Chris wants you to take him back to the 80s. Apparently Kath's mic works. Kath, Kath mic.
Cass, work.
No, speak into the mic.
Boots and cats and boots.
Boots and cats.
Apparently the volume is just very
Boots
low.
and cats and boots and cats.
Boots and cats and boots. Nothing.
We are sorry for these technical difficulties.
They can hear me.
Good on you. Can
Am
you
I
hear
being
me?
silly? Can you guys hear me? Can someone just like send Henry? Can you hear me?
What's that? Oh,
Give us a dance.
Apparently Mick can just hear me.
Only you. Boots and cats.
Well, if you can hear me, it's all that matters. No.
We'll write it out.
Does anyone want to scribe for us?
I'll text
Okay.
the whole thing.
Well,
Yeah.
we're having. They can hear me. Okay, sweet. Well, I'll just talk,
You can be our interpreter.
and
so
then
if
I
there's
might bring the
lots-
mic around to everyone. Okay.
That's very COVID safe.
Everyone speak through your masks.
Yeah. Okay. I can do that.
Test.
Okay, so the next question. I might move on to the next question then. I'm not sure if I can reach all of everywhere. But
Wait.
I fixed it.
Testing.
Thank you, Andre. Unless it's not anymore.
We'll get to it.
That was a fun 5 minutes.
See, we're hearing everything on a delay, so it's a little bit odd.
my times.
Okay, but yeah, so next question. Something that may have been a positive out of lockdown is that we have had a lot of time at home to reflect and spend time with God. And as we're coming out of lockdown, maybe was there anything that you found like that worked quite well for you in lockdown that helped you sort of get closer to God? Or any stories or anything like that for any of you? And maybe what can we reflect on now we're coming out of lockdown, so maybe we can think we need to keep on doing those things.
I actually found it very useful coming to church, and I mean, I know the last time we had something like this, you talked a lot about journaling, and I think that there's been a lot of encouragement and things that we could do. Maybe I haven't taken up journaling, though. I do think I wrote something down one stage. So. But yeah, I think it's been good to have had that opportunity that maybe we've talked about things that we haven't normally talked about because we weren't in that situation before. And by having lockdown, hopefully it might have got us into habits for things that once lockdown's over that we can continue. And so yeah, that's been valuable at this time.
I think for me, a few things that I guess have worked well for me during lockdown that I like to bring out of lockdown is it's made me more intentional with my time, or at least thinking about how to be intentional with my time. Like if I have an hour in the morning to get ready and all that, then I will set aside time to hang out with God because lockdown has made it more possible for me to do that and have that time in the morning. So I've really enjoyed that. So I'm like, okay, I should keep doing that. Even if it's harder to readjust my time, it's something that I found worthwhile. I think the other thing, we discussed this like, is celebrations. I've been a little bit more intentional, not as much as I'd like, it's only been the last like week or so, but more intentional with my friends in bringing up God. And this is like with my Christian household, like Kath and stuff, being more intentional about maybe how are you going with God, or like what did you learn from God this week? I think we asked that in the spa yesterday. It's like, what are you reading? Tell me about it. But being more intentional with that, because it's easy to do it at church. It's easy to do that at connect groups, but in your everyday life, when you're at work with your Christian friends or stuff like that, or even non-Christian friends, bringing up God and being intentional with that time is something that I've been able to practice during lockdown and because of lockdown, because I wasn't getting that anywhere else, like at church or youth. So, yeah, I encourage people to do that. It's kind of fun, kind of scary, but very good. Yeah.
Yeah, look, there's no substitute for quantity time with God. I've just been reminded of that through lockdown. You know, you can have that sort of way of living as a Christian where you think, oh, you know, this coming Saturday I'll have a block of time with God, but really time every day. It just reminded me in lockdown how important that is. Been thinking about how I go back to church. There's only 3 or 4 weeks to go, and I want to use that time to reflect on how I'm going to come back. What's my attitude going to be like coming back to church? And something Henry said in his sermon last week really resonated with me, which was, he said, we think of church as a family, which it is. It's a hospital for the broken. But church is also, we are God's army. We are serving him together. He is our commander-in-chief. And I just have this great desire for us at 5 p.m. to have both of those images of church in mind. Yeah, sure, we're here to comfort and befriend one another, but we're also on a mission to serve the Lord, and he's our chief. So, something to think about.
What was a positive in lockdown?
I really liked asking other people from other churches what they were doing, comparing what we were doing to what other churches were doing. Yeah, because some people I think are just doing live streams, and I think that's like a one-way kind of communication. So I really love that we do Zooms, which is like everyone gets an opportunity to talk. I personally like it because I like talking sometimes. I know that other people hate it. I feel it is quite confronting. It's like being in a Bible study. But also, there's a little bit of pressure to share, but also not too much pressure. And if you don't want to talk, that's okay. But yeah, I found that very interesting, and I really appreciate that we are trying to be together as much as, I guess, everyone is comfortable with, because, yeah, of the situation. But yeah, that's one thing for me, just comparing us to other churches, coming out on top in some ways. Yep.
Okay,
Humble Kath.
awesome. Yeah, so I'm going to chuck in a question that I just thought of, because we like moving on our feet here at 5 p.m. So, I know it's been a conversation with people I know and family, and sort of what our response to, because we're coming back to church as of the 31st, I think Andrew said, everyone, vaccinated, was it? That probably helps. We're coming back to church from the 31st, both non-vaxxed and vaccinated people. So, of course, everyone has a right, everyone in Australia, everyone has that right to decide for themselves whether they're going to get vaccinated, but of course there will be some liberties that vaccinated people have that non-vaccinated people don't have for the little while, but then after December, we'll all be sort of mingling and coming back together, hopefully life as normal. But sort of how as a church can we respond to that when we come back? So in terms of put our feelings aside? What does the Bible say about authority in this matter? Because even though we are not mandated to do it, there's going to be a lot of people who think we definitely should do it, and a lot of people who think very much otherwise. And we're probably going to come across those people in our church, and they're going to be our brothers and sisters in Christ. So maybe have you got any thoughts on how, as a Christian, we should approach that healthily and respectfully? Sorry, there was so much in that question to unpack.
Can I kick us off and you guys add? That is a fantastic question, Nick, so thank you for asking it. As Christians, I think the first thing we need to be aware of is that we are subject to the authorities, subject to our authority. So our authority is the New South Wales government. God has put the New South Wales government in place, and so we are subject to whatever they tell us to do. I mean, hopefully it's according to God's will. But this is one of those situations where we submit to our governing authority. So they've, with all the advice they've been given, the mountain of medical research and opinion, they've made this decision. So, we're the test case at church because we're going back with vaccinated and unvaccinated people at 80% before other people are, which is pretty interesting. So once we get to church, so with that in mind, so we get to church, we've submitted to our authority, and now, we've got people at church who are vaccinated and unvaccinated. I want to thank every person watching and here who didn't want to get vaccinated, but did for the love and the benefit of others. I want to thank you especially. That took a lot of other-centeredness and from you, so thank you. And I think really we're here to love one another. We will have differing opinions. These guys will have some thoughts on that. It is going to be hard. Maybe we can ask questions if we want to ask questions of people why they did or didn't get vaccinated. But really we're here to love one another, aren't we? That's our core heart thing to do. But what do you guys think?
I think people who aren't vaccinated, one of the things is that they do look at God's will and trusting in God. And to a large extent, I suppose they're saying by not being vaccinated that I'm going to rely on God to protect me, or if I do get sick, it's God's will, I suppose. I suppose you've got to respect them for what they think and believe. There are people out there that feel that there's a lot of misinformation about vaccines, and there's a lot of scaremongering by the government that make them feel that maybe this is not as important to do. But as Andrew says, we should be thinking of others, not just of ourselves. There's a lot of fear out there that vaccines might cause harm in the future, that the unknown is something that they fear. And again, I think that we have to respect people, the fact that they see things differently and are fearful, and that support them to come back, to feel welcome, because just because they don't believe the same thing as you doesn't mean that we shouldn't accept them.
It's a very tricky topic. I have people that I love dearly but have made the choice to not get the vaccine, and I know people that I love dearly that made the choice. And I think it's not to us to judge. It's pretty clear in the Bible that God is the one true to judge. And there is a very fine line of doing what God says and doing other things. I think it's a common conversation that I'm trying to work through with Kath about my own anger and understanding towards these things. But I think looking through James, if you want to look through a Bible passage and stuff like that, for me, James really kind of points out
humility and listening to God and wisdom and where that comes from. And for me, that just kind of gives me peace over the choices or decisions that I make, and one that I will always look to God for, if that makes sense. I don't know, Kath's my sounding board. She can nod or say no. But yeah, it's one that we do want to come out through with love when it comes to this. And I would never want to exclude anyone from the church or push them away because of the choices that they've made and the conversations that they have had with God. And I think that's a very big thought among people at church and people part of the planning team. And if you have any questions about it, or if you have anything you want to ask for it, always come to us, come to Andrew, come to anyone in the parish council. Always bring that up, but we really want to listen to you guys. So if you have anything to say, any questions or concerns, maybe things we haven't thought about coming back, we would really love to hear from you. And I think our next meeting is soon. Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Our next meeting is tomorrow night. So if you have any questions about coming back to church, do it now before Monday night. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, we had some great answers there. Henry has been throwing spanners into the works via text, which I've been finding quite amusing. But I think some of his questions would be better for a small group, just for time's sake. So I'm respectfully not going to ask those ones here. But I think Henry's going to pop up a link at the end of this, and then I think we can debate and open cans of worms and discuss till our heart's content with Henry, which is always fun. But what I thought I might add to this is, because it occurred to me that there's probably going to be some people who, even though the lockdown is ending and we're coming back to church and we have that freedom to, there might be people who are still really nervous about doing that and don't want to come back until later in December, or might just want to continue to stay in lockdown for a little bit longer personally. So with those people, how can we make sure that we keep them in the loop, and are we going to still be having access to the church for those people?
I hope you don't mind me starting. If you're one of those people, please be assured we will have our live streams across the day at St. Stephen's, so you can watch what's going on. Hopefully Dre and Jordan and others will be okay to do that. There's an article that's on our Facebook page on the St. Stephen's one, not the 5 p.m, it's on the main one. And in this article, it's by Lisa Aitken, by the way. She compares coming out of lockdown to a bear coming out of hibernation in that it takes time, it's a process. So I recommend you read that article. It's really good advice if you're like that, you're feeling a bit hesitant or you're feeling a bit sluggish. The only other thing I would say is when you come back to church, I think we said it before, you're going to be sharpened again because we're all a bit blunt. When you come to church, you get to practice forgiveness, encouragement, love towards one another. You'll be encouraged, you'll be sharpened in your faith again, because we're all very blunt after 4 months, so it's good to do that.
It's interesting that up until tonight, I wasn't thinking of coming back to church at the end of the month. I'm only single vaccinated, won't be double vaccinated until November. I've really actually enjoyed doing the online church, and one advantage I see of being at home is that when the music's on, I can put my words up on my other screen and actually sing along at home, which is something that you can't do here. But I suppose Andrew told me that even though I'm not fully vaccinated, I can still come. And the fact that we can talk, I was thinking that coming back was going to be similar to the last time, where we just sort of came in, did our business at church, and then sort of disappeared because we weren't allowed to actually sit and communicate. Whereas if that is the case, that we can communicate, then I suppose I'm considering now maybe changing my mind and and actually coming back. But I can understand that it's very comfortable at home. When it's 4:45, I just get down, sit on the computer, and there's no sort of needing to think about walking to church or getting in the car or whatever else. And I think the other thing I've really enjoyed is the Skype and actually being able to be in small groups with people that I might not normally talk to at church. So.
And in your pajamas?
Well, I'm sure I have been to small groups in my pajamas. But I don't think you would have known. I had a tracksuit on. But so I think that I may consider coming.
I think for those hesitant or those that need to protect their family more by staying away longer, we still want to talk to you. We still want to hang out with you. If there is, we were talking about this before we started the live stream, but that fine line of reaching out to people and being like, maybe they don't want to, or maybe some people are older and I still want to maybe I want to talk to Andrea Sargent, but she's older than me and it's kind of scary, and maybe she wants to talk to me, but I'm younger and innocent. I don't know. That kind of, we were talking about wanting to reach out, but maybe not knowing how to. But at least on my side, I would love to. I'm pretty sure everyone here would love to, even if it's awkward. I like talking to people, and I especially love talking to people about God. And I miss doing that. And so if anyone ever wants to have a conversation like that, there are a lot of us that want to. Even if you can't do it at church or is too scared to come and see people, that's okay. We can go on walks, we can get coffee, we can do a Zoom call and play Zoom games. I forgot which ones there are. But yeah, and also I was thinking maybe if you do want to sing, we could have a roster if we could still lead worship that's not good at it. That would be really fun. No, but yeah, it's scary to reach out, and sometimes it's scary, especially if you're not used to doing it, or even being the one that's being like, hey, I miss you, let's catch up. But I think at this stage, everyone would appreciate doing that or have someone do that for you.
And we've still got, 3 weeks where we can do that if we haven't done it yet? We can still catch up with one another?
Exactly.
We can bring back the Secret Sisters.
And we can do picnics. So if you don't want to meet up with just one person because you're not used to them, we could do a picnic. Mm-hmm. Yay. Okay, that's mid.
It was stuck on my earring, which is a very constant problem I have. I think it's going to take some getting used to. I think there's going to be bumps along the way. It's not going to be a smooth transition, and I don't think it has to be. It's okay. We're all in this together. We're all kind of figuring out how to be the best followers of Jesus that we can be, and I think, we're not perfect, and it's okay. It's okay if we stuff up. It's all right. We're human. Yes, it's embarrassing and awkward, and no one really wants to, but at the same time, let's be honest and prepared for that it's going to be weird. But weirdness is okay. Being in an awkward space is okay. It's not going to kill you. Yes, it'll feel horrible, but we're okay with that. We can get over it. It's fine. But I think, getting back will take a little bit of maybe training, a little bit of preparation. I think it could be a little bit scary because this is our new normal, and we're going to have to find a newer normal that'll be different to the old normal, but still different to the old normal. So I think that's going to be super confusing for everybody. So again, we're all in the same boat, but I don't think that God has abandoned us in that boat. He's still paddling, he's still pushing, he still has a direction and a plan for us and a hope for us and something for us to hold on to. So like I said, as long as he does, then we're okay. Like, we're his bride, we're his children. He hasn't just left us by the wayside by ourselves. So hold on to that, be encouraged by that. Don't forget that God is faithful even when we aren't. Yeah, and it's just going to take some getting used to. And I think being honest with ourselves, like being honest maybe with each other, like you could tell your friends or your church people, I don't like coming back to church, and you can have a discussion about that. Or I don't like Zoom, and that's why I'm not there. You can have a discussion about that. That'd be good to talk about, because we notice when you're not there, and we miss you. So that's all I had to add to that.
Okay, well, we might start to finish up, but I just have one more thought, and it's more of a bit of a question, bit of a statement, bit of a heads up. So it's going to be a couple of things combined into one. The only way I know how to do things. So, going forward, we're coming back, and Trudy had a lovely question. What are we going to be talking about? Are there any topics that we're going to sort of tackle once we're back at church? Have we got because I think we're all a bit out of practice for coming into church. I know I am. Sort of coming in, it's a little bit odd. And just as a side note, beyond that, I thought I'd chuck this out there just while we have a little bit of time. I'm planning a church boot camp, or Tough Mudder for Jesus, or... But the idea is that because we haven't been at church for so long, things like listening to sermons and doing worship, and I mean, this is further down the track once we can all come back to church and we can do worship and we can do all of this stuff. But we're going to try and put a day together where we come and we actually just spend a day with the Lord, and we're going to have a bit of a couple of sermons, some Bible study. We're going to end with a worship night and maybe even a bit of community outreach, which I think would be awesome, just to sort of get us back into it, because I think it's important. We've been going on this medium for so long, Zoom and internet and everything. Coming back to church, we're doing all these things differently. So I might throw out to you guys thoughts on that, but I think this question is more specifically to Andrew, if there's any things we're going to tackle after lockdown.
Can I go quickly?
Yeah, please do.
If I say G, you say Zuz. G. G. All right, that's what, we need to get back into doing things together and doing weird things together.
That is going to be the boot camp the whole day.
It'll be so good. Yeah, we need to warm up, people. Be there. Tough Mudder for Jesus. I love it.
I'll be brief. This is a great segue to go into your Zoom groups, because I think Henry may have some ideas on that. Won't you, Henry? Good on you.
Okay, so we'll finish up the live stream there. And then, as Andrew said, Henry's going to post up a link to the Zooms, and we're going to race home as quick as we can to see if we can join the Zooms. If we're not there, sorry, but start without us and we'll get there eventually. But yeah, it was really lovely to sort of come to church again. I love these panels. It gives me an excuse to get out. But I do look forward to coming back. But yeah, thank you to all the panelists. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And apologies for the technical difficulties at the beginning. But what I might do is I might just finish up with prayer, and then we'll close there. Okay. Dear Father God, I thank you for the opportunity to come here, Lord, and just be in your place of worship. I thank you for the lovely people who are still at home as we're still in lockdown. And I just thank you that they were able to join us tonight and join in and participate. I just pray over the next coming weeks, as we're probably going to have to deal with some uncomfortable questions or uncomfortable situations with friends and family, that you just guide our hands in that, Lord. And I just pray that as we come back to church and as we open back up, that the COVID will sort of cease and we'll be able to manage it, and we won't just go back to where we were a couple of months ago. But I pray in Jesus' name, Amen. Okay, thank you everyone, and see you soon.